Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief, Your Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Asiwaju of the universe, and the Jagaba of Niger State. I wouldn't say Bargu alone. Very distinguished General Yakubu Gawan, the chairman of today's event, General Olusegun Obasanjo, other past Nigerian President, my brothers, General Abdusalami Abubakar and Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, and the representative of General Muhammadu Buhari, my brother and statesman Nana Akufo-Addo, immediate past president of the Republic of Ghana, former Nigerian presidents, vice presidents, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, Alhaji Namadi Ambo, and Professor Yemi Osinbajo, senators and House of Representatives members present, state governors present and past, our royal fathers present, honorable ministers. I see many of my military colleagues present here, and such superior officers like General Alani Akinriade, captains of industry, here present, my Lord spiritual and temporal, members of the mass media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Your presence here today is not just a matter of convenience, but a testament to the significance of this event. I sincerely appreciate you have taken time from your busy schedule to share this moment of memory with us. Your presence is not just invaluable, it is very essence of this gathering, and I'm eternally grateful to your gesture. I salute the President, our President and Commander-in-Chief, His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for finding time from his onerous assignment to honor us today. Mr. President, you are able to attend this event today means a lot to me personally. As you know only too well, you have my blessings, prayers, and goodwill in your arduous task of moving our country forward. To all our former presidents and heads of state, your enduring impact on our nation and your legacy is not just a testament to your dedication and service, it is a beacon of hope for our future. I am deeply grateful for your contributions and presence in particular. I cannot sufficiently thank my brother, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, the immediate past president of the Republic of Ghana, for giving us the honor of delivering the keynote address. I am compelled to single out for praise very senior bosses and older brothers, General Yakubu Gawan. His incisive forward to the book is admirable and moving. I'm grateful, sir. General Gawan and my other boss, General Olusegun Obasanjo, who gladly agreed to chair this event, have positively impacted my life. I am also immensely grateful To my other boss and mentor, General T.Y. Danjuma, I'm delighted that I could recall General Danjuma's leadership qualities in my book, both during the Civil War and as the Chief of Army Staff. It is fair to say that as Chief of Army Staff, T.Y. set a standard by which succeeding chiefs have been judged. My childhood friend and classmate at Bida, General Abdusalam Abubakar, out for short, who has always stood by me, belongs to a special class, if only because he now readily admits I am his elder brother. I also thank my boss and our immediate past president and colleague, General Muhammad Buhari, who sent a lovely note a few days ago apologizing for his inability to be with us. I'm delighted that he has asked one of his ministers to represent him on this occasion. Similarly, I thank His Excellency Professor Yemi Osinbajo, Nigeria's immediate past Vice President, who reviewed today's book with characteristics brilliance. I shall remain forever grateful to all governors of our states, distinguished senators and members of the House of Representatives, past and present. To our Royal Highnesses, I am deeply grateful for your presence. I understand the effort it takes to travel from your different domains to attend this event like this. Your presence adds a unique and esteemed perspective to this event, and I pray for your safe return home. My deep appreciation of your presence and support is that of the captains of industry of our illustrious private sector will be eternally on record. The Board of Trustees of Presidential Library will find befitting ways of permanently acknowledging your support in the stage facility. Talking of captains of industry, how do I thank my son Abdul Samad Rabiu? He has shown enduring commitment to this event and the library project from day one. Thank you very much, Abdul Samad. The rest of this distinguished audience, drawn as I can see from different parts of the country, I thank you from the depth of my heart as representatives of our people, especially those who are unable to be here, some of whom have managed to reach out to me since the details of today's events were made public. I'm humbled by your presence and the interest you have shown in my memoirs and the library project. No matter our points of origin in the Nigerian encounter, we all share experience of a fascinating national journey. Ours is the story of a thrilling past, an engaging present, and a most promising future. Today's event reminds us that we are not just here to remember the past, but to actively shape the present and envision a bright future with hope. A future that each one of you, with your unique perspectives and contributions, will help to build. The first aspect of today's event is the public presentation which has been done. This memoir, a culmination of over 3 decades of reflection, significantly contributed to our understanding of our national history. Throughout the public presentation of this book, I believe I am paying a huge part of my debt to public. I have had to contend with this question all the time. When will you tell your side of the story? Understandably, our period of service has somehow evoked, and rightly so, many questions and stories among our public. This book, which chronicles my experiences, decisions, and challenges during our national service, tries to answer some of these questions from my modest perspective. My colleagues in arms and I presided over significant change and turbulent reform. We confronted monumental challenges in the economy, the polity, foreign affairs and defense, and security spheres of our national life. We confronted obstacles, sought change from old ways, encountered unusual obstacles, and devised innovative solutions. We all thought to leave Nigeria a better place than we found it, often at a great personal sacrifice and in the face of significant challenges. I'm deeply aware of the inconveniences and sacrifices the public endured during this period, and I acknowledge and appreciate their resilience and commitment to progress. Although the reform caused inconveniences to our people, we built lasting national institutions, some of which are still in place today. Undoubtedly, credible, free and fair elections were held on June 12, 1993. However, the tragic irony of history remains that the administration that devised a near-perfect electoral system and conducted those near-perfect elections could not complete the process. That accident of history is most regrettable. The nation is entitled to expect my impression of regret. As the leader of the military administration, I accept full responsibility for all decisions taken under my watch. And June 12 happened under my watch. Mistakes, oversights, and missteps happen in quick succession. But I say in my book, in all matters we acted in the supreme national interest so that Nigeria could survive. Our nation's march to democracy was interrupted, a fact that I deeply regret, but Nigeria survived and democracy is still alive, a testament to our resilience and commitment to progress. This book is part of my personal story of that encounter with national history. I did not travel alone. I undertook the challenging work of leadership in the company of many patriots. Many are still here, while others have gone the way of all the flesh. I cannot name all our allies and fellow travelers, but let me acknowledge the contributions of men like late Augustus Ihomu, Commodore Ebitu Ukiwe, Dararito Machuku, Professor Bolaji Akinyemi, Dr. Kalu Idika Kalu, Dr. Tunji Olagunju, Chief Olufala Enahu Kabesi, Mosu, the late Professor Omo Mori, the late Professor Gurian Ezekwe, the late Professor Tam David West, the late Professor Babatunde Fafungwa, the late Professor Wali Koye Ramsan Kuti, the late Dr. Shatima Mustafa, the late Alhaji Bunu Sharif Musa, the late Rear Admiral Patrick Koshoni, Lieutenant Alani Akinyade, General Ali Gusau, General Haliru Akilu, the former Senate President Brigadier David Mack, Brigadier General Tunde Ogweha, Colonel Abubakar Nengiwa Umar, the late UK Bello, the late General Nuhu Gomaji, Colonel Sambo Desuki, and a whole list of prominent colleagues and friends of all of them, fellow travelers in the challenging work of leadership. The second aspect of today's event is establishing the 15th library, which I consider a tribute to history and a contribution to the world of knowledge and leadership. In this regard, I thank my friend and family member, our former Vice President, Namadi Sambo, who created a unique architectural design for the Presidential Library on my 80th birthday. I'm getting to 84. As you can see from the program details, it is an outstanding design. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. As leaders, our activities belong to history in the form of written records. These records will serve as evidence in chief for posterity long after we have gone. The proposed presidential library, which will house these records, would be a lasting tribute to our period of national service and a resource for future leaders and scholars to learn from our experience and decisions. As I understand it, members of the library board have in mind is a library as not a museum where treasured historical documents and books are left to dust. The plan is more of an interactive center for lively exchange among people of different backgrounds and generations. Once again, I sincerely appreciate and ensure your presence at this gathering. Your participation and the conversation following this event will undoubtedly contribute to better Nigeria. I'm grateful for your support and look forward to our shared journey towards brighter future. The task of recovering memory can never be easy. As I said in my acknowledgement pages in the book, apart from my publishers, Messrs. Bookcraft, headed by Mr. Bonkole Olaebi, in writing this book, I acquired debts of gratitude to several other persons that deserve mention. Dr. Yemi Ogumbi, otherwise Dr. Activity, Dr. Chidi Amuta, Mr. Abiola Phillips, Mr. Clement Fajmoku, and Mr. Toby Shenoy gave generously of their time, experience, and resourcefulness, not just in the area of research, but also in painstaking editorial work. I thank Mr. Oladimeji Bajela for the book's beautiful design. Yemi Ogumbi's unwavering commitment to ensuring the expert production of the book and his tireless work towards realizing today's event will never be forgotten. Thank you for the activity. Yemi's effort and those of his colleagues were amply complemented by the commitment of other young friends and colleagues, such as Donald Duke, Rotimi Amechi, and Mr. Francis Ogoro, who made several trips to Mina for consultations in this project. My gratitude to these other friends who assisted in this program. Thinkers and persons of knowledge as possible, especially business, finance, and economics. I naturally started my consultation with those I had met practical contact with within the years. In this regard, I reached out to Professor Gabriel Olusanya. He impressed me greatly during my tenure at the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies. Through him, I expanded the contact of reputable Nigerians to consult on how best to design an appropriate economic reform agenda. In this regard, I contacted Professor Ojetunji Aboyade, Professor Ikenna Nzimiro, Chief Michael Omolaele, Professor Akimabo Gunje, and Chu Okongu. We could rely on the technocratic expertise and vast bureaucratic experience of men like Olufalaye. Through Ike Nwachukwu, we had been since the military, when he was a military governor of Imo State. I engaged and incorporated Dr. Kalu Idika Kalu, who had done impressive work on the state's economy. Before that, he had worked at the World Bank and served as the Asian desk, where he garnered extensive knowledge on what became the Asian Tigers. In particular, his creative approach to rescuing the economy of Imo State made it possible and positive impression on me. Under the famed Imo formula, he excited me and I brought him to the federal level to help us with the economics of spending only what you have. Such prudent management and economic realism was what, in my view, our desperate economic situation required. What I found exciting respected each other, with each one you consulted and brought about on board. He had a string of other colleagues with similar experience to bring along. In little or no time, we had a virtual faculty of people with extensive ideas, vast experience, and diverse background. We interacted through series of dialogues and consultations in very enlightening sessions. We became more like a community of friends and colleagues, but we were united by our shared commitment to making Nigeria self-sufficient and workable. We had endless brainstorming sessions on different aspects of national life, especially the economy. I found brainstorming sessions very enlightening and refreshing. People brought their vast experiences to bear in the problems that face us then. In particular, I recall the insights of Professor Ikenna Nzimiro, who brought a lot of life to our sessions by relating our present problems to his experiences from the past. He would, for instance, ask me jovially, "Mr. President, how old are you?" And I told him one day that I was born in 1941. So he looked at me and laughed and said, "I was an activist in the Zikist National Vanguard when you were born." So, Mr. President and the Asuwaju of the universe and my elder brother, I want to thank you and thank all my colleagues for having the time to be here with us. I really appreciate you, Mr. President. Thank you so much.
So, there you have it. The speech by IBB, Babangida, Ibrahim Babangida, Um, he says he takes responsibility for what happened. But I feel there is a sense of lack of justice for the people of Nigeria, considering the fact that he admitted that the elections are now, he now says freely that the elections were indeed free and fair. And the actions he took, I feel personally that it truncated the development and the lives of millions of Nigerians were affected by that hijacking of democracy that he so eloquently said he worked assiduously to lay the foundations of, only for him to now pull the key stones of those foundations, i.e., Abiola winning the elections, allowing that election to go through, and then allowing Abiola to be, the president according to the will and the wishes of millions of Nigerians. That's my view. The it is not even an apology. It's not even saying sorry. I take responsibility is not the same thing as saying I'm sorry or regret. That's not. I don't think that's correct. I don't think just making a statement like that. I'm not going to buy the book. I just feel that it is not acceptable. The other thing is that I want to bring to attention. It was the same Ibrahim Babangida that also took us into the international Islamic organization, something IOC committee or something community or whatever it's called IOC. So um, without regard for the secular nature of Nigeria, it's fine. Ibrahim. It says in his name, he's a religious man. He is a Muslim, and that's fine. And nobody would begrudge him if that's what you want to practice. The thing that's a problem is now taking millions of Nigerians into an IOC body, Islamizing the people without their say so. That actually runs counter to his claims of being democratic. It runs counter. The voices of the people were not heard because of those actions. Having meetings in Abuja, without the people being aware, that is undemocratic. That is my view. And look at where Nigeria is today. Look, because of the interference in the so-called democracy. Um, Nigeria has taken several steps backwards. Nigeria is not where it should be. We should be leading, we should be the giant of Africa in physical terms and psychologically. The people should be feeling that strength of character, that strength of achievement, that strength, that force of being from a nation that is the largest, most populous nation with great people, achieving great things all over the world because they've been prevented from achieving in their home. The people should be achieving that on ground in Nigeria, but for the serious intervention in the so-called democracy. So what are we left with when you force people to go and become Sharia law? You're a member of the Islamic organization community or whatever it's called, and then we are now having Sharia law, bit by bit by 11 states in the north imposed. We are a secular nation, that is under severe threat. Nigeria is teetering on the brink of collapse. I don't say that lightly. Yes, I know the government is trying to do a few things and all that, but the corruption it is about to topple Nigeria over. Yes, corruption is about to topple Nigeria over. We only need to look across the borders to Niger, to Burkina Faso and Mali, and see what they're achieving. See what the great man Ibrahim Traore is doing. See what Ibrahim Traore is doing. See what Assimi Gota is doing in Mali. See what General Chan is doing in Niger. And you see that these are men. They so believe fervently in Africans that they pulled out of African Union or ECOWAS, and they've created their own body, Alliance of Sahel States, and they're protecting themselves against the colonials who are using some Africans. Ivory Coast, for example, is being used to try and infiltrate and actually still cause havoc in the Alliance of Sahel States, and they will ultimately fail. Nigeria should be in the pride of place. As I speak to you now, in Burkina Faso, they are about to complete the largest hospital in the whole of West Africa. The largest hospital in the whole of West Africa that will cater for not only their citizens, but citizens of ECOWAS. What does that say about the giant of Africa? And that is in the context when we're looking at Nigeria, when you're looking at anything that IBB is going to say and all of that, and the library and all of that, and Niger State and all of that, whatever they're doing, fine. But the thing that really strikes me is that these are the same people who are telling us that they believe in democracy, and every action they've taken from the minute that Abiola won the elections and the whole world knew, and then they decide to they try to solve it to say it was not free and fair. Now he's saying it's free and fair. Too late in the day. The lives of the great of Abiola has been taken. The will of the people has been denied, and that till today Nigerians are suffering on that basis of the actions taken by Ibrahim Babangida and his team. I'm not going to abuse. There's nothing to abuse. But all I am saying is that we need to speak these truths to power. We cannot be silent. We cannot allow somebody to try and rewrite history of what happened right before our eyes. I remember when I was growing up, seeing all of that, and trying to understand what is going on, and everybody being afraid. And then now you're now trying to put yourself as some kind of a Democrat and trying to rewrite and gloss over a glaring failure that has crippled the whole the Nigeria that you say you want to function, and that you think you believe that you've handed over democratically and all of that. Look at the mess that we are in. Again, I stated, Nigeria is teetering under the weight of the corruption, where those who are in power believe that they can do whatever they want, and the people have to comply, and they can take whatever they want, and there is no consequence. You have just demonstrated that you have not suffered the consequence of your actions in denying the people, millions of people, their right, their voice, with the will they decided, and you are still here. And that tells us that Nigeria is not designed to function with the likes of yourself and others who are running things, still in place and not facing the consequences. And as I speak to you, the corruption that is now endemic now started from that injustice. Because now people say, oh, if they can do it, I can do it. I can say whatever. I'm this, I'm that. And our justice system is a joke. Our legislature is a joke. Our governance, everything about it, on paper it looks great, but in reality, Nigeria is teetering on the brink. I don't say that lightly, and I do hope that those who are in government will listen to what we're saying. And again, I say to the people ultimately, the people who are denied the right to actually carry out a referendum on the type of constitution they want, and and the tenure and all of that. The people were deliberately prevented from participating in this process. And what we are now saying is that the people must, in the little power we have, sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom the government, through this constitution, derives all its powers and authority. In that little power, and the participation by the people in the government shall be ensured in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. That power there, we need to now begin to use that to exercise it. And furthermore, we want this to be translated into local languages. For example, in Yoruba, it will be ìjọba jẹ́ ti àwọn ènìyàn Nàìjíríà láti ọ̀dọ̀ ní tìjọba nípasẹ̀ òfin yìí gba gbogbo agbára àti àṣẹ rẹ̀. And of course, the second part of it, the participation, we'll talk about it in Yoruba like this. Ìkópa àwọn ènìyàn nínú ìjọba wọn gbọ́dọ̀ rí dájú ní ìbámu pẹ̀lú àwọn òfin orílẹ̀-èdè yìí. So we want our people to know that information, to start beginning to question their governance. And because there is nothing for me, I for one do not see anything to celebrate in a man that denied millions their vote, silenced the voices. That was what the Ibrahim Babangida government did. They silenced the voices of millions of Nigerians. Until today, we have never recovered. That's the reality. It's a sad fact. I don't take pleasure in saying it, but it's the reality. When millions of Nigerians are fleeing their own nation, infinite resources, over 40 mineral resources. We're the third largest oil producer in the world. And all of that frittered away under the guise of trying to maintain a hegemony of some kind that is obviously backed by the colonials. These are the realities of what we face. Look at what is happening in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. They are standing devoid of the colonials, and the people stand with them. How many in Nigeria can say they stand with the Nigerian government based on the actions that they're facing right now? How many Nigerians will say that? Millions are asking for Ibrahim Traore to remain in power because the great work he's doing, the farming, the tractors is buying tractors, subsidizing farmers, getting the prisoners to work to farm, and then getting new skills, giving them, making them self-sufficient in food, making their own tomatoes, opening a tomato factory, mining, getting Burkinabes to mine their own gold, putting in the central bank, getting Burkinabes to millions, 500,000 of them have come back home. How many millions are coming back to Nigeria based on what is going on now? And it all stems from this truncation of the natural process of the so-called democracy. One begins to even wonder if that was ever going to be given a chance by the colonials. When I hear the words of Professor Akinyemi, I think it is, when he talks about the fact that the West had it in mind that Nigeria will never rise because they knew if Nigeria rise, the rest of the black race would rise. These are realities, but all of that, for me, leaves a big gaping hole. That is why Nigeria can never ever work. I don't see a point, a place where, under the current system, where those who are corrupt will be not only be jailed, but they will be seen to be in jail, serving the time. The funds that they've taken back from them, invested into the country, building our roads, our water, our light, our schools, healthcare, safety and security, and all of that. But the reality of it is not going to happen. Nigeria is going to keep carrying on in this manner till it literally collapses. And out of that collapse, we will have all the various parts that have been forcibly put together can now re-emerge themselves and build and actually be able to stand as Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa as intended. Nigeria is a geographical expression of the colonials, not our vision, not our grandfather's vision. That's the reality. Now, to make it work, you need to actually look at the confab report as prepared under Jonathan and Goodluck Jonathan. But that will never ever happen. And there are resistance to all these things. We should really have regional government to make it function. In the UK, they are doing regional governance. You have the Welsh government, you have the Scottish government, you have the English government, you have the Northern Irish government. Devolve powers. That way, in each area can actually focus on the real concerns and get it done. But that's not going to happen. The federalism, the federal nature, putting us in a box and squeezing the life out of millions, forcing millions to live. It all stems from the actions of preventing the democracy to actually take hold, the so-called democracy. I still have major questions about that, to be honest, if it was ever going to be, or if it was just a mere paper exercise. I'll leave that for you all to decide. You, please, and those of you watching, I'd like to hear your comments and your thoughts on this. For me, I've said my piece. Above all, you cannot come and say you represent democracy when you actually took the keystone of that democracy. The winner of the elections was never allowed to preside over the governance as the will of the people dictated. That's the reality. That is the reality. I don't. You're 84-year-old. You're, grandfather. I'll give you the due respect from that point of view. But the actions that you took, it speaks for itself. And look at the millions who are suffering till as we speak. Your actions, and unfortunately, you haven't paid for those actions because you're now saying you take full responsibility. But how will people feel that you taking full responsibility? The way they will feel it is if the millions that have flowed as a result of your actions have been poured straight into infrastructure, and we can start seeing the impacts of that in the community, and it's spent on that, then maybe you might have a chance. Maybe. But even that is even suspect, because at the end of the day, your actions took the life of the man that won the elections in 1983. Your actions took his life. And, for me, that's my view. That's Nigeria would, it just, and he proved it. And the second bit of it, like I said, is the IOC thing. We're a secular nation. You've taken us into the body, and Sharia law is put in, and they're trying to put that all over the country. Where is the democracy in that? When you're forcing others to comply with the religion that, which is your religion, that's fine. Others have different ones. It should be respected. That is how democracy that you espouse should work. But hey, there you go. Those are my views. I wish you no ill. We are just looking at the facts of the action you took. You know, we the people are suffering. The land is suffering. There is no light. In 20, over 30, 40 years now, there's been, in 24 years of the so-called elections, no light, no water, no electricity. You know, the people are suffering. There is no social security system. You know, and those who loot the money, repeated money meant to be invested in electricity, not one of them end up in jail. And that is what your intervention in the true democratic process, that is the fruit that it has borne. You have borne a fruit of to make a rich, milky, wealthy nation with infinite mineral resources a barren land for the people of those of Nigeria. Nigeria is a failure, however way you wish to cut it. Unless and until we have real leaders and people, and we have to re-educate our people to know their rights. That's why I'm quoting Section 24 and Section 14.2a, 14.2c. It's the Constitution must be rewritten, confab report must be looked at. We need ultimately to go to regional governance, regional devolution, and then over time, if that is still a difficulty, everybody go their separate way. This putting us together and thinking with one Nigeria when millions are suffering, over 80 million Nigerians are suffering, over 120 million, in fact, out of 230 million. Is that a success? Is it? I'm asking a question. I bear you no ill will. It's not, the thing that you can see yourself is you're truncating the elections has led us to where we are now. It played a significant, continues to play a significant role in the complete deterioration of the very thing that you espouse for also to be patriotic to, which is Nigeria. We are not Nigerians. This was a vision of the colonials on us. And we need to be strong enough to say this. We can't stand together. I, for one, think that name should go because it's a colonial name. My ancestors had no hand in writing that name. That was a name devised by the colonials to control a geographical area. We need to take control. That's why I support Ibrahim Traore, Assimi Gota, and General Chiani of the Alliance of Sayo States. They are working for Africans. They believe in Africa. They've renamed. They speak the African language. Wear African clothes. Make their own food. They're self-sufficient. They want. They protect. They have their own army. All of this. I heard in Mali the other day they shot down planes from the colonials trying to infiltrate. 6 of them. They are taking action. Do we see that happening? Are people safe in Nigeria? I'm asking questions. I'm not here to abuse. Great work by President Tinubu. It's working. It's trying to, find out in terms of economy. But when we are working in an economy that's controlled by the very people that enslaved us, then that economy is not going to work for us. It's designed to fail. These are the realities. We need to be looking at BRICS and we need to be freeing ourselves. Ultimately, Africa should have its own finance system run and controlled solely by Africans, not by foreign bodies. That's my view. But hey, I said my piece. What are your thoughts on this? You are listening to Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Thanks for listening. What are your thoughts on the apology or the so-called, taking full responsibility by Ibrahim Babangida, the former head of state? Bearing in mind that the actions led to the unaliving and killing of the president-elect at the time, Abiola. What are your thoughts? Let's have your thoughts. Nigerians, please participate. It is time we really take this seriously and take a collective participate in this. And I encourage you all, start teaching our people about their rights in the local language so that this thing can start from the grassroots. Just talking alone and among ourselves in English is not going to do anything. Our people, over 80% of the people are only speaking local languages. They don't understand anything written in English. We need to take this to devolve it down into the communities, has to be in local languages. There, I've said it all. Thank you very much. You've been listening to Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth power about the throne. Thank you and bye for now. Bye for now. Please do subscribe to us, to Citizen NY, hit the notification button, and of course, give us thumbs up. Thank you, and bye for now.